Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacciana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home. Today we're going to talk about some pitfalls associated with buying an old Zippo lighter that is still in brand new condition. Most of you will be able to see immediately when I pull this lighter out of the box or this plastic case the number one problem that we have. You can see that is flint dust that has shaken out or spilled over from inside the case where the lighter insert is housed, and the flint has obviously degraded and turned to dust and probably concrete inside that too. This is a 24-year-old lighter, thereabouts. I haven't dated the bottom stamp yet to see if it's a 98, but that was printed on the face of the lighter as the later year of the anniversary. We've discussed a lot in the past about the warning stickers, and this is going to be my first experience with the paper type stickers that Zippo employed back in the 1990s. I'm just going to take a common household disinfectant cloth and wipe the dust that has settled on the surface of this lighter. Just trying to get any debris off of it that could possibly get stuck in or otherwise contaminate the absorbent materials, the cotton or rayon wadding and wick, as we are pulling the insert out or working with the insert. So the thought did cross my mind after I used this that maybe I should have pulled that sticker off first at least, so that I did not damage or weaken the sticker to where it would not pull off. And if you want to criticize me for that, that may be a valid point, and I'll take it. But you'll see here in a moment it all works out fine anyhow. XIV does denote 1998. So we're going to go ahead, we've got that all wiped off now, pretty much of all the debris that will easily come off. And now I'm going to go ahead and grab a hold of the sticker and try to pull it off without tearing the whole thing apart. That was my hope anyway. I have seen horror stories by several of the people in the Zippo Addicts Facebook group and other groups. This is part of where I was saying it seemed like maybe I had weakened it, but it ended up all coming off in one piece, of course, except for that stubborn paper that you can see is left behind there with the adhesive. But there just wasn't a whole lot to do with that. The newer stickers appear to be made of plastic, rubber, polymer type material, but those old ones were definitely paper, and that one came apart. But I was able to at least keep it in one piece, so I can put it in the bag here and document that, keep that in the box. The number one problem we have on our hands here is that the flint has degraded, not only turned to dust, but appears to have sort of exploded inside the case. This was really disappointing and sort of a nuisance to deal with. Not that big of a deal. I mean, I would have rather ended up with a brand new insert just like it was coming from the factory. But to buy an old lighter that I knew had been sitting there for years and years. Ted Ballard himself told me 2 years ago that the flint would turn to concrete within 5 years. I don't know that it normally happens that fast, but I will say this: in that building of the National Lighter Museum in Guthrie, Oklahoma, there were conditions present to apparently cause that flint to not only degrade but then sort of disperse around And who knows, maybe the display that it was in had been moved over time, maybe it had been shaken. There's a number of things that could have happened. But it was certainly a lot more flint debris than I was expecting to deal with. And you can see that there's none touching the file wheel. So it's going to be down in the tube. And that's one of the reasons why we're dealing with so much of it on the outside. All that dust is because it can't be seen because it all turned to dust. I thought about just completely tearing this insert down because I knew I was going to have to drill that flint tube out, but decided just to wipe it off. I didn't figure as long as I got all the loose flint debris out, I don't really know how much danger that is to the finish anyway. I don't think you want it sitting around on it, you know, as a habit, but you've got flint debris that is constantly around lighters and doesn't seem to affect the finish. So get the flint spring pulled out of here and cleaned off, and I'm just going to try to get as much of that dust removed from everything as I can. I've got that cool little 3-gallon Briggs & Stratton air compressor that normally would have done me a lot of good here and given me an opportunity to get some of this stuff blown off, but I still have not been able to get that repaired through the customer service. They sent me the motor, which I shot a video on, and then the switch broke right after I got the motor installed. So hopefully we will have that back at our disposal soon. But we got the felt pad off, which looked to me to be a little bit dirtier, just barely dirtier looking than the white of the other side of the felt pad. And I'm going to work at this flint obstruction by hand for a minute, but with my hands being what they are, I don't do it very long. And I'll get the drill out, and upon getting the drill on it, that solves the problem pretty quick. And like I said, that air compressor, I have that video that I am trying to put together. I'm just waiting, hopefully, that they will send me that replacement switch so I can get it working again. Because it really sucks here working around the workshop without air at my disposal. So we'll get the flint back down in the tube, and then we will replace the felt pad. I was trying to discern there which side was the slightly more dirty side, and I'm not sure if I picked or guessed correctly or not. Get our flint screw tightened back down. Get our flint groove before we get it all the way down so that it's not jammed up. And then, like I said, it could have been better, but not altogether horrible. The dust that has contaminated that wick, I can pull that off and snip it if I want to. If not, it would function like that. It's no skin off my teeth to have a little bit of a dirty wick on a brand new lighter in my collection. There you can see the debris that had come out on both sides, not just on the front side there where the flint was actually located, but it appears as though that flint dust had spilled over the back of the case too. And like I said earlier, there may be some assumptions being made on my part that that lighter was sitting perfectly still. Who knows, maybe at some point the case got knocked over. That would explain everything, I guess. If you know, if at that point the flint was already turned to dust. Now we're going to dip this off into the 91% isopropyl alcohol. Never had any problem dipping a painted lighter off into alcohol, but it does make me a little bit nervous. Our objective here is to remove the adhesive and the remnants of paper that are on the lighter and get the high polish chrome finish shine back up. Now, I have heard of many other collectors, repairmen, whatever you want to call, or whatever they want to call themselves, using lighter fluid for these purposes, Zippo fluid. And you can see the alcohol brings this off pretty quick. The residue that was left on the lid was a little bit tougher, so it required a little bit more scrubbing. I got a wad of the organic cotton coil out, and someone may look at this and tell me that I'm a fool. If you believe that, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what I'm doing wrong. But I don't believe I did any damage to the lighter. I a couple of times wanted to put my fingernail over there and start scratching it up, but I didn't. I don't know that that would have damaged it if I did. The paint looked fine. So, editing out a little bit here, ending up with the cotton coil, and you'll see that after just a little bit of buffing or polishing with the remainder of that alcohol that we were using as a solvent, it cuts through there without too much trouble, and the lighter is going to look reasonably enough in brand new condition. Of course, we will have a more in-depth video for this particular lighter at a later date. This would qualify more as the repair video. But you can see there, after a few dips in the alcohol and some scrubbing with a Q-tip and a length of organic cotton, shines up just fine. Get all the remnants and residue of the paper off, and at least on a high polish lighter, that was a nuisance. I don't like dealing with it. I don't want to get that paper stuck down in the case or somehow then contaminating the wadding or anything like that. But it's really just a nuisance. It wasn't anything that I was ever really worried that it wasn't going to clean up. But I can see where if that same sticker had been applied to the painted side of a lighter, it could have been a whole different story. And man, look at that. Brand new lighter, never been used, and yet the way that the flint had degraded, you would have thought it had been lit up, had more dust and what kind of looked like carbon dust than some lighters that have been used. But not carbon dust, just the broken down flint. I don't know what the chemical makeup of ferrocerium exactly is. I'm not sure what those two words, ferro and cerium, put together, what the origins of them are. But there may be something in the way that that breaks down that makes the dust more dangerous than just spent flint. I don't know. I try not to use the abrasive side of any of these cloths as well. There was some debris there that was stuck on the front side. We'll get that off. But I don't use the abrasive side. If you're doing a high polish chrome, or not high polish, brush chrome or brush brass or something like that, that's not going to hurt it. But for a high polish, you really don't want to have any scratches. And well, I guess the jury will be out until I make the later video for this, and then whether people want to tell me I did it wrong now or not, we'll see the evidence in that video. But it sure looks mirror-like to me. And dry it off here, do our final polishing with a soft cloth. I don't know, I couldn't be much more happy than that. I don't see any remnant whatsoever of the sticker. You can see me smiling in it without any of that in the way. And the paint also survived the alcohol dip just fine. There's some threads that we're gonna wipe off here. Lighter still looks mint condition to me. Some of those threads that looked like they were in the way were actually on the towel. So we'll have a highlight video for this lighter soon. Keep your eyes out for that. Until next time.